Great. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, great. We'll just loosen off a little bit. Warm up. Okay. Bit closer. Yeah. So we'll do upper body warm up. My legs are fine. Just my weight. Okay. Just play with extend the fingertips and make a fist. We're just going to mix in both. Just play with both hands, separately with one, together. Good, and just play with doing the same thing, just let them come out to the sides, up above the head. And when you get to the head, work your way down. Okay, just working one side, so let the arm go. We're in one spot, nice and loose. And just back on the feet together. Center. And just like front and back the feet. Very slight movement. And side to side a little bit. You keep playing with the hands if you like. I'm busy. Okay, a little bit of rotation with the hips. And just back against the center. Find the toes. Let the heels strike the floor. Good. Bring the hands together, rolling out the wrists. And change direction. Let the arms come out to the side, wipe hands over the face. Change direction. Just roll in the shoulders. Change direction. Circling the arms out. Tight circles. And change direction. Rolling out the shoulders, one and the other. And a little bit for the head, the shoulder. Work the body into the elbows. Releasing the hips and hands. Put them away into the back. Right, and then just play with isolating the head, circle around, play with both directions freely. To get the chest. On the chest, just play with it freely in the direction. If you feel any sticky parts, just kind of run over it a little bit. 2 times. Great, and to the hips. Play with both directions. Roll out the knees a little bit, you can see. Oh, if I put my hands there, you can see. So nice. Both ways. And bending knees down. Down a little bit. Back. Down. And back. Last one. Right, just take yourself into lunge. Stretch out the back leg. Press the heel down to the ground if you can. And change sides. Okay, great. So we'll just do a little bit of foundation work. So just take, we'll do this. Well, I can't really show the legs in this case. You're going to have the heels a little bit separated, and then the toes pointing them together, so that your feet's going to be something like that. That the wrist is my heel. So just put the toes together. The feeling here is like you're kind of wrapping the legs inside each other, so kind of turning them in. Just playing out. Just put the arms at the chest. You can do the kind of find the rib cage, find the hip bone. Just kind of place on the chest. Just play with kind of spreading the elbows a little bit. A couple of deep breaths in through the nose. Just hold it really briefly at the top of the breath. And then nice long deep breath out, keeping that length through the body. So just in your own time to follow your breath. A couple of seconds in. A couple of seconds of a hold. Nice long exhale. As you're doing it, just think about the posture, think about the back of the neck long. Solar plexus kind of up, pointing out. Elbows spreading away. The out breath nice, long, and drawing the torso. Just in your own time. Look. Next thing, just think about squeezing the legs together. So a little bit like you're squeezing the thighs together, squeezing the feet into the ground. As you find the breath and just keep that kind of gentle pressure in the feet, the legs. Wrapping the whole body up. Feel like the legs kind of wrapping towards your center. One more set. Great, and then just hinge the hips back a little bit. Find that kind of sphere of tension in the front. Really squeeze the fingertips together. So the feelings as if, imagine you've got someone in the room and they're trying to split the hands apart. And they're also trying to squeeze the elbows together. So you're trying to resist kind of two force in a sense. Spread the fingertips. And just again, a few deep breaths. Nice long inhale through the nose again. And exhale nice and slow, either through the mouth or the nose, whichever feels comfortable. Every breath, every out breath, let the hips go a little bit further back, let the hands go a little bit further forward. Just reach out. Again, think about neck long. Clavicles kind of pointing up, not shrugged down. Shoulders really reaching into the back. Great, and then last one here, the next out breath. Just raise the arms up, keep the hips where they are, raise the hands up. You can either keep the fingertips together, just lengthen up toward the top of the head, just in front of the head, so not over the head, just in front of the head. You should be able to just about see the hands in front. Just let the vision in this case, just settle along the horizon line, so just right in front. It's difficult if you're in a room to do that. Just let the eyes kind of naturally follow the length of the head, the spine. Just let the eyes rest. Forward. And stretch up a little bit higher, hips go a little bit further back every out breath. Again, just think about the legs squeezing them together. Go. Use that slight pressure on the legs to lengthen a bit more in the spine, around the feet and the floor. And then last out breath, just release yourself back down. Release out the hips a little bit, spine. And then we'll do a little bit more of an active one. So keep that slight in-turn in the feet. So you've got a, don't wear black pants next time, Michael. Okay, you're gonna be shoulder just wider than shoulder width, feet gently in-turn with the idea that if you look at the outside edges of your feet, they'll be kind of parallel basically. So not in-turn in the sense that you're doing kind of pigeon toe stuff, but just at the outside edges of that. And then we'll just work into it. So just let the hips come back, spread the hands out, nice deep breath in and out. Think about spreading the hands without pulling the shoulder blades together. Spread the arms back, spread the hands wide, like you're doing that same kind of sphere of tension where you would bring the fingers together, but do it at the back, just separate as you go, half a sphere in each hand. Feel the ground in the feet, nice and strong. If you want to check the balance here, just pull the toes up gently. So you let the weight settle a little bit more towards the heel. Make sure the knee's back, the foot. And then we're just going to go into the fingers. Just reach the hands forward, sink the hips back a little bit more, bring yourself back up. And let yourself come long, fully up long, and then reach out. And just blow the breath a little bit. What I tend to do in this case is actually breathe into it, nice and long, and breathe out of it to come up. The main kind of muscle group to feel in this, apart from all the kind of posterior part of the body, feel the glutes really engage, especially on the way up. You feel them kind of firing. As you come up, that pressure into the ground, squeeze the ground together and let the butt muscle really pull you up out the ground. So it stuffs you nice and deep, about 5 seconds into it. Holding it briefly and then pull yourself back up. That's it. Here we go. Great. That's it. Good. And then we'll just do a few kind of dynamic ones. So change the breath a little bit, so it's going to be a bit more explosive. And especially on the pull back. So the into it can be quite drawn out, and then allows us to kind of pull right back up. And really feel like it's a kind of pump motion. So it's the hips, the legs, driving you back out. Nice kind of sharp, explosive breath up. Just a couple more. And then the last one, we'll just hold it. So just find that position. Just a few deep breaths there. Again, every out breath allows you to come a little bit further forward, hips go a little bit further back. Hold it, control it. And just think about the neck, back of the neck's long. Knees are released, but coming back. Nice deep breath in. Nice and controlled out. One more deep breath. And then the out breath, bring the hands up, separate them out. Little fingers spiral up to the sky, to the ceiling. Reach right up. Again, just check the neck, check the head. Just let the eyes gently fall on horizon line. Out, front. Couple of deep breaths here. Next out breath, let the hands come down, let the spine curl towards the ground. Hips hinge all the way, and then just let the upper spine release and curl. Just a couple of deep breaths here. Great. Okay, finding the shin bone, the hands, press into the shin bone a little bit, pull the back up long again, upper back, neck, chest pulls out a little bit. Deep breath in, and then pressure into the feet, feel the glutes engage, and then pull the body up with the out breath. The way up. Right, just shake out a little bit, release all the tension in the spine, the legs. Okay, great. Okay, and then we'll go into a lunge. We'll go into the arch pose, open up the body. So take a not too long a lunge. If you wanted to, the back heel could be on the ground, but in this case, just raise the heel off the ground. And that kind of long position with the hands, got a kind of half sphere of attention. Hands, I'll do it from there. Just feel you got a springiness in the ground, rather feel the difference between the hips basically sagging down and also being kind of stiff in the legs. So you want something in between, which is just kind of bouncy, elastic, but the hips are also kind of raised slightly up. And you want 50-50 weight in the feet as well. So just feel that the weight's right in the center of the feet. A couple of deep breaths. And the first one we'll do is just the standard archer. So you're just gonna have the core basically straight up through the base. Just reach out, fingertips together. In this case, you're gonna take, I've got my left hand forward, left leg. I'm gonna take my right hand, goes into the palm, and then you open out the hip with it, just trace all the way back along the shoulder, all the way back. And as you get to the rear shoulder, just pause that position. Take a deep breath in, and then use the breath out to release the arm all the way back. And just do that on your own time. It just allows you to follow the breath with it. So breathe in. The key thing's let in the hip, back hip, pull the arm back. And keeping the body nice and long, and the weight still at kind of 50-50. Don't let the back foot, as you do this, turn out to the back. It's really common with us doing Aikido a lot of the time, working with hand. Just allow that back foot, toes, let them point forward all the time. So you're really allowing that movement rather than coming from the foot. Let it really come from the hip. Now that's just breathe your way into it. Pause at full draw, and then take a nice deep breath in, and the breath back fires the arm forward. Great. It's got a nice big asymmetrical position. I'm trying to deal with it with the body. Right, and then we'll just release the arms, change the leg, do exactly the same thing. So just again, find your base, both toes pointing forward, find that long position, pull the hips up gently, let the spine be long, neck pulled back, chest out a little bit. Reach the arms forward. The weight again, 50-50 back foot's there. And then just initiate with the hand. Pull the hip back, pulls the hand back. Reach the full draw. Hold it, find a nice breath in. And as you release it, let the arm come back and the hands back to center. Again, just notice the eyes, let them kind of settle on the horizon again. Probably just going to kind of look through the hand in this case. Just allows you to find that kind of natural resting point for the eyes. Just a few there. There it is. So anyway, in this one, let the arm kind of trace. If you let the thumb trace down the forearm, basically, so it's basically in contact with the body. If you do this in archery, it's also the arm. I want the arm, although this is not archery really, but I want the arm to basically stay in structure, basically. And if I pull it out, it's going to kind of pull them. It will basically make the shoulder want to do the movement. So in this case, you want, yeah, that's it. You want the hip to be pulling the hand down, basically. Yeah, that's it. Great. Good. Okay, and the last one, just find it. You're coming out of it. Just release the hands down. Bring the hips back. Just release out the body a little bit again. Nice, easy one, just to open the chest up a little bit. Great. And we'll just go back just into the wrist. Just roll them out a little bit. Just roll the whole arm out. Play with alternating them. It would be lighter by now. Why is it? Must be cloudy day. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, and just make a fist nice and tight with it, and just keep that motion going. Really tight with the fist. So squeeze the hands together like it's like a death grip. And you don't release it. Let's do it for about a minute or so. Just keep the arms motion. Move the feet a little bit if you want. Stay in movement. And just keep drawing yourself back to the fist. Just nice and tight. Squeezing it together. Every part of it nice and tight. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing. Good. That's it. Perfect. Good. Good. About last 10 seconds or so. Squeeze. Squeeze. Tight as you can. Okay, great. And then we'll just gently release it. To release the thumb first. Just wiggle the thumb a little bit. To release the index finger. Wiggle it a little bit. Thumb. Middle finger. Wiggle it a little bit. Ring finger. A little bit. Little finger. Wiggle it. Just wiggle them out a little bit. Ooh, a little bit of breath. Great. Okay, good. And just snap them out. Work down the arm. And the other one. The other arm. Back onto the palms, and then we'll just do the face. So you just gently wake up the face. Run them down and over. A little bit into the eyes, gently. And the cheeks. And the jaw. And then just go onto the neck, down the neck. we go, great. And just gently tapping with the fingertips just on the head. Just working the back. Move it towards the ear. And just on the crown of the head. Coming down the center. Spread it out from there. Just gently now on the temple. Very gently. Great. And then just going to wipe down. Boom. And back on the hand. Wow. There we go. Okay. Let's do some bokken. Great. Okey-dokey. All right. Great. So we'll just do a couple of 100 𝗧𝗪𝗡. So we just take it into the first 𝗧𝗪𝗡. Yes. Work your way in, find the back, and cut into it. So we'll just run through some points with this 𝗧𝗪𝗡. The first one's just the feet, even though I can't show the feet. Really feel, especially the left foot is really in the ground as you do it. So use the exercise in a sense when you shift the weight back and you shift, or just play with really shifting all the weight into that back leg. Now, as you cut, notice the tendency as you go shift the weight to the right foot, the back foot wants to lift up, wants to kind of come out of the ground. So just really notice it. And as you shift into the back, really press all the weight into it and then use that weight to shift you forward so that you really, there's no urge for the body to go forward out of the foot. So just really sink into it. Think about, we talk about like you shifting from 100% to 50-50, but what I don't want to do is actually lose weight in the leg as I cut. So as I shift into 50% in the front leg, I want the 50 to kind of drain from the back foot, but I don't want it to kind of push out of the back foot. So as you do it, just the first few, just notice if I kind of cut normally, if I cut unconsciously in a sense, the body's going to want to go forward, and especially the heel will want to kind of twitch out of the floor. Just notice that, and then just see if you can basically settle into that back leg. So it's basically, in a sense, with the first 𝗧𝗪𝗡, it's just a practice of shifting weight in the feet if you kind of isolate the footwork in the movement. Just really about how to make that shift from a 50% weighted onto one leg and then shift it back into 50-50 with a kind of active movement. So. Yeah, good. So that's very nice. Good. Great. Good. Good. So we'll mix in left and right as well. So go to the left side and then just adjust it so that you've got the hammies are a little bit different, but it's the same hammy, it's just adjusted a little bit. Hands a little bit closer on the bottom, and then just find the back, find the cut, find the back, find the cut. And again, just check the feet as well as you're doing it. Just notice again that tendency the back foot wants to get out of the ground. Kind of if I don't really focus on it, we'll kind of start to pull the foot out. So just settle in. So okay, just focus on that shift from 50% in your neutral, 100% in the one leg, and then 50% with an active cutting motion. Just notice you might have a better or worse mobility in one foot, one ankle. You might feel a little bit tighter in one leg, one foot. Just trying to adjust around it. Very nice. Okay, good. So just mix in left and right now in both of them. Do about 10 cuts on each side, and we'll look at some other points. Go to the knees now. So what you want to think about is the knees basically releasing towards the feet. So again, this is kind of linked. If the feet are in the ground, the knees should be able to kind of release towards the toe. But notice, can't really show it. Notice the tendency, especially if you go into this forward motion, the back leg especially again starts to want to fold away from the body. So it starts to kind of fold this way. Really allow that back foot or the back knee especially to really release towards the toes. So if you think about this just in mechanical ways, the hip and the knee and the toe basically want to fall on one line. If you think about it in a feeling sense, in terms of what we're doing with Aikido and Kokyut work, think about the leg basically spiraling into the foot. So that's the feeling that the knee basically needs to be released to allow that spiral to happen. So just again, mixing right side and left side, about 8 or 10 on each side. Just notice again, just play with, do the movement, but really focus on what's happening in the knees as you do it, especially in the cutting motion. That's the kind of real important part. The knees basically need to unlock towards the toes. And the other point with the knees is also when you come back to find the spine, whether the knee is kind of locked out or not, you should still have a little bit of freedom in the knee. It should be a little bit, well, it should be released, but it should be locked out in the back. Yeah. You can just mix in left and right. Just notice if you feel one side is easier to find that feeling, release the knee. So it's a little bit trickier. And just work with it. Good. And as you're kind of focusing on the knee and that release, also just something to have a little bit of focus also on the feet as well. Again, are the feet grounded? Are they in contact? Take a cut. Am I pushing out of the ground? Or am I sinking into it, compressing the body? Great. There we go. Great. So we'll work a little bit up and down the body. So we'll go now to the wrists, focus on the wrists as you do it, and really focus on this case with the mobility in the wrist. So all of these are kind of points of mobility, and really focus that when you raise, the wrist is mobilizing through that movement. What I don't want to do is like lock into a kind of grip like this, and then the wrist really does nothing throughout the raise. And then I end up with this kind of movement coming up to the top. So allow excuse me, allow the grip to be full, especially in the back, but really release the wrist and both wrists, but especially just focus on kind of one. You can play this in exercise just by releasing into it, but feel that the wrist really has a flexibility in it and a mobility in it. So find the back, reach into the cut, and all the way through the cut as well. Even when you're focused in the grip, there's a little bit of give in the wrist. It's never kind of fully braced and locked out in this case. You always want a little bit of freedom in the joint system. You never really want to fully brace it. Just notice it. That's it. Yeah, if you go to kind of mechanics in this case, I want the full range of motion of the arm to basically be engaged in the movement. In this case, the wrist is really important to that. And again, if you go to a feeling level of what we're doing when we're doing kokyu work, all that spiral work we do, the one of the big expressing points of the spiral is the wrist and the hand. So if I lock the wrist in the joint system, that basically blocks all that spiral work that I can do with the wrist. And the sword cut is a really great way to kind of release that spiral work in the hand, even though it's a very much a linear motion. Try and find that sense of that the spiral can be kind of released in that very kind of subtle spiral work, but it's still there. Nice, nice. Again, just mix in left and right. You might find one side again a little bit trickier. Yeah, great. Good. Okay, good. Take it to the elbow. So there's lots of points that you can do with the elbow. The first one, just look at that it's able to flex again. So again, I don't want to feel that the arm, the elbow's kind of locked. The main one is also that as I initiate the cut, trying to avoid that the elbow pops into full extension. Which if you play with that as a motion, also it's almost impossible to not have the shoulder kind of raise and pop out as well. So if the elbow starts to pop out, then the elbow acts as that as a kind of fulcrum. It's going to push the shoulder up and out. So the first one, just look as you do the cut, basically the elbow is able to mobilize again through the motion. So it should feel released through here and here, but try and avoid that. The elbow here is the back elbow is also really important for this. I don't want to feel that it's straight locked out and then I'm in, again, that kind of position here. So it's strong, it's not collapsed to the body, but it's able to, again, flex. And I want to feel that the pressure at the end of the cut isn't being absorbed up in front of the shoulder. And the elbow is really the key to that. The elbow's ability to hinge and stay released, basically. If you're not sure with it, just put a little bit more power into the cut itself. So put a little bit of more focus in. And just the check is whether the elbow's kind of popping the shoulder out or it's able to hinge, release, and allow the shoulder to basically shrug into the back in the sense. Again, on both sides of the cut, just notice what's happening in the elbow. There we go. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Okay, great. Now look at the relationship between the elbows. So you've also got the hinge, all that kind of happening. Look at the distance between the elbows, basically, as you do it. So the key points is you don't want the elbows to be too narrow in the kamae here, and you don't want them to be too wide at the top. And as you cut, you don't want them also to go into a kind of narrow position on the body. So there's a kind of middle position that you can find with each of these. Just check, there's the three positions, the kamae. The elbow's got nice comfortable distance there. If the elbow's kind of popping out here, it means my grip's also going to go off to the side of the sword here. So, and if it's too narrow, I'm going to be kind of squeezing the sword at the top. So the grip and the alignment down the forearm into the elbow is gonna kind of coach you where to put the elbow in. But it's in this case really about the relationship between the two elbows. If they're too wide, they're spreading away from each other. If they're too narrow, they're squeezing the sword out. So just allow it to kind of sit in, and the feeling in the elbows that it's just kind of sunk down. If I feel like it's there, it's pulling me out. There, it's spreading me away. It's just find that middle place where it's sunk in. The second position in this case, the top position. Again, just look at the relationship between the elbows. I don't want them spreading away from each other, and I also don't want them squeezing together at the top, where they're going to kind of squeeze the neck and restrict to the top of the neck. So again, just letting them that, and the feeling once I get there is that the elbow is able to sink into the rest of the body, and basically that's where you're in alignment. So, and then the cut itself, the harder one to work with when you come into focus, and that feeling of sinking the elbow into the rest of the structure is really the key parts of the cutting motion in a sense. Just as you do it, just notice what's happening between the elbows. You should always, in a sense, have that feeling that the elbows draining down, sunk into the posture base. And just mixing left and right. Separate. Good. Good. Okay, great. So we'll move on to the kind of main joint system. Go to the hips in this case, and we'll take it to Zengo, and really focus on the first thing with the hips is whether they're mobilizing through the cut. So you also got the first one here. As you go into the rotation, really feel the hip mobilizes it and pulls the sword into it, mobilizes it up, and pulls it down. Mobilize up, pulls the sword in. So the first thing, just as you're doing it, just really look at the hips. What are they actually doing? And are they actually doing anything throughout the whole movement? So just the first thing is just feel that they're actually contributing into the motion. If they are contributing, I can start to allow the hip to guide the motion. But the first thing, just notice are they actually mobile during the movement? Yeah. So. Good. Okay, take it to the shoulders. So just take your attention to the shoulders. The main thing with this, just again, notice what happens in the shoulder. So natural tendency for the shoulder is to, it raises up through this motion. So it raises up and then maybe it settles down in this point. Now, in a sense, that's not wrong, because in order to kind of mobilize the arm, it's actually easier in a sense for the shoulders to start to raise up, and then I can kind of move the joint system in the arm. But just notice the tendency for if the shoulder starts to raise, what I don't want to happen is that the hips also raise with it, and then I end up with the body coming out of the ground, and then the cut itself is a kind of in and out of the ground this way. So as you're doing it, allow the shoulders to release. I definitely want the shoulder to release, and part of that release is also its ability to roll up, but I don't want the feeling that the shoulder is going to pull the rest of the body up with it, with the sword. So actually, the more I can actually release the shoulder, more I can mobilize it, the less I'm reliant on, or the less the shoulder has the function of pulling the body out of the ground or pulling the rest of it. So just play with this idea as you go into it, that I can release the structure down as I open and release the shoulder. And obviously, as you find the cut, you want the shoulder to be really sinking and rolling back into the body. That's really where you're strongest with the shoulder in this cut. Just play a little bit again, working with Zenga. And the first thing, just notice what the shoulder's doing. Just take a bit of rain. Okay. Just hold on for 6 minutes. Good. Yeah, okay. One of the tendencies with this, because we talk about the shoulder a lot and that the feeling like the shoulder rolling down, is that the shoulder's actually stuck in position. And then what happens is the arms and the elbow initiate the motion. So I end up doing something like this. And then the shoulder actually just tight. So rather than the shoulder being like open and back and mobilized, it's actually stuck in position. And then I start to do things like this. And my Aikido starts to look quite robotic in a sense, because the shoulder's actually not able to mobilize. So the work for us is like, how do I mobilize the joint system without it destroying the posture? So I really want the shoulder to be releasing and able to kind of mobilize, because that's what's going to give me most of the mobility from the arm, rather than I like fix the shoulder and then the arm's just doing that basically. So feel as you do this, as you do the cut, that you can release the shoulder, so it should still feel, you should be able to mobilize through. But the problem is that I don't want the shoulder to pull the rest of the body up with it. So as you go, sink and drain, sink and drain, but really feel the shoulder is actually able to open through that movement. So it's still able to do it without me fixing the joint system. And that's kind of the problem for us a lot of the time, because our tendency to start to try and fix the posture, and actually doesn't need fixing, it needs leaving alone a lot of the time. Yeah, that's it, you got it. That's good. Okay, it's really going to rain. Okay. That's it. Good. Okay. Very good. Good. Last couple of minutes, give yourself freedom, move around the space, cut any direction with it. Stick really with 𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘴 work, and allow yourself again just to settle, but just mixing, walking, moving with it, rotating in the direction. And just check all those posture points as you go through. You get into it. Just allow yourself to naturally come, what are the feet doing? Am I really in the ground? as I transfer the weight over one foot, I'm able to fully engage with it, sinking the weight into the knees. Are they releasing? Am I mobilizing the wrists? Elbows, are they draining towards the ground? Taking it to the big ones, the hips, the shoulders. The big one with the hips is whether I can actually mobilize the movement from the hip and keep it. Shoulder, really whether it's able to mobilize. All of these are basically mobility points. Good. Very nice. And just now, 30 seconds, really full power kind of cut. So allow yourself to really cut in powerfully. And use it really as a test on the posture. So I kind of apply a little bit more power through the body, through the bokken. And kind of meet it with the rest of the body. Nice, big, powerful cuts. Be mindful of your surroundings. So, right. Good. Great. Perfect. Okay, we're going to stop there before it rains totally. Okay, great. So now it's light. Great. Great. どうもありがとうございます。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okie dokie. Great. There we go. There we go.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, thank you.